that are on that property. And I will pass that floor then to Judy.
God put me first.
If you could come up, so that way folks online can also hear you.
There?
I think either one is fine, right?
Is that a mic?
Right there.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, right there.
That sounds great.
Hey guys. Okay.
Really put
Hey.
you on the spot, being on the podium.
Yeah. Okay, so, I'm asking for some of the Q conditions to be removed from zoning. I'm not asking to rezone it, because I don't wanna do that, but it still costs the same thing. It's not cheap. So, I'm gonna start with the simple things. One of the things that I'm asking,
Introduce yourself, please.
I'm so sorry, Judy Zayden.
Thank you.
And Miss Cooper. Okay, so I'm asking for the simple things, just to show y'all how outdated it is. So I go down to zoning and we're talking about it and he brings it up, he's got all the information, and he starts saying something about the trees. So one side of it has all these trees that I had to put up for buffers, they're there. And then I had to do a little map to show the other side where the trees are. Well then, he asked me about the evergreen trees. And I said, well, in the beginning, they told me I had to put those up. They lasted about 18 years, because we did this in 93, 94, and I said, they all died. So I put up rose bushes. So one of the things I'm asking, is just simple, I'm telling you, but they wanted me, I don't want to take the rose bushes down, I want to leave them instead of having to replace it with evergreens. So that's one of them. Then another one was a signage. When we first had the building, we had these really nice brick columns, and they told me that I had to block the driveway. This was in 93 and 94 when we first did it. So we had chains up for the driveways that had to be locked every night. That got to be a problem because over the process, they were all knocked down. So if you pass by there now, you're going to see they're partially there. So I told them in 2007 when this came up, I said, I don't want to be responsible because they're both cutting them and they already knocked them down. The biggest thing is, right now, I want to take off some of the stipulations, the Q conditions that they're saying, because things are changing over there. I know y'all know about framework, which being the, I'm not cheap, but it's a lot of money, I actually thought that framework would be doing this for me because they were changing all the zoning. But they told me I would still have to do it myself. So I'm asking to remove some of the stipulations for that because I don't have a problem in the neighborhood since I lived there with a coffee shop. I can't do a coffee shop. I can't do anything that has food prepared on site. So I'm asking for that. Coincidentally, when my tenant I just lost Edgar, my tenant that was there for 8 years. Because of Ross, I lost him. So he brings this guy Mitchell he's here tonight because they actually live in the neighborhood. And I said, well, y'all need to come meet everybody. So coincidentally, he comes to the house. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, for people that don't know what Q conditions are, a brief history on the piece of property you talked about. Just,
Well, one of them was the rose bushes.
well, no, explain what a Q condition is to people that don't know.
I can only tell you what they told me I couldn't. Do you know? Okay. I thought Valerie would
Pays
begin.
to be old, sometimes. Few conditions, when somebody rezones there's certain things that go with a zoning designation. Q conditions are added to a change in zoning or to an existing zoning to restrict or allow certain things, and usually they don't go if the property changes hands. Like somebody wants to put a coffee shop in where it's residential. Normally that wouldn't be, but that faces Green Springs Highway, so a coffee shop, could be okay. Q condition is a qualification. And that's basically it.
So basically,
To try and protect the character of the neighborhood and yet still allow it to grow and change.
So the three things I'm asking for, the queue conditions that they have on me, I don't want to replace the rose bushes. I don't want to put up a chain, because if it gets cut at night, I'm still responsible. And I said that I just don't want to do that. I have to put up a sign though, I know, but y'all already know, the police have permission to arrest anybody because I did the no trespassing signs. And I want the conditions that I could have a restaurant. And I'm saying that, I don't want a restaurant. I don't think that place is big enough for one, and it wouldn't be. But the city doesn't have the terminology for anything with prepared food other than restaurant, and that includes a food truck. So basically, if I wanted a bakery, if I wanted a coffee shop, if anything for that, that's what I'm asking for tonight. To remove that basic queue condition to allow restaurants, what they're calling it.
Would that be the only thing because that's a big place just for one little coffee shop?
No, the big place is rented to a church.
Okay.
It's divided into two places. So there's 2/3 and the church has had it for years. The smaller places basically.
And is there enough parking there because it doesn't look very parking.
It's basically between street parking and that, there's about 14 spaces.
Oh.
Yes, sir?
My name is Tommy Little. I live on Joyce Street. Is the intent for you to have a food truck there?
Yes, for right now.
Do you have any idea what the city ordinance allows as far as the time that something like that can be opened?
I don't, but it won't be night. I know that.
Okay, because my
It's
concern
mainly
is,
lunchtime. Yeah, go ahead.
okay, because my concern is, I look at the Chevron and the Shell on the corners, and those have become gathering places in the evening, and that's something that I was concerned about happening. And then I'm also concerned about the trash that the tenants have. Obviously it's not a residence, so I don't know what their arrangement is on trash.
Okay, I'm gonna explain the trash. Those
Okay.
cans that are out there by the fire hydrant,
Yeah.
they do not belong to my tenants. They
Okay.
never have. My tenants know
Okay.
not to do that. I don't know why are there, but it always upsets me that they block the fire hydrant. In fact, that last fire they had, I was really upset because those cans were there. And my husband, 2 or 3 times a week when all the unhoused were there, was going around cleaning it up and we would move them. And that's my son right there. He would haul it off the dumpster.
Because if somebody's putting stuff there every week,
You're right,
we were
they
assuming
are.
it was coming from the church.
They don't have garbage there because I've talked to them. They use the building mainly for storage, and they feed the homeless. They go out to them. Their place is around 22nd Street over there where Sweet Tea is. They work with Highlands, Church of the Highlands. They work with several churches and they work together.
So
But
how would a food truck affect their truck that eat there during the week?
I've already talked to them about it. They're gonna keep their truck there. He said he could park it in the back sometime, but maybe the other one will be. It'll be on site.
Is there an ordinance or is it your lease agreement that prohibits it from being at night?
No, they already said it's okay. You can park it there.
No, I'm sorry, I was going back to the food truck part. Is it a city ordinance or is it your lease with the tenant that says it can only be during the day?
It's just what we decided. I don't think it's with the city.
So it's not a city ordinance that it can only be during the day?
I'll have to check on that, but they didn't say anything about hours when I was there.
So conceivably, someone could come in with a food truck and it be open late at night?
Well, let me put it this way. This is all new to me.
Okay,
And the one I'm talking to does not want to do it past 5 or 6 o'clock at night, which is fine. I do live there and my concerns are your concerns.
yeah.
I don't want people there at midnight.
Right.
What we could do too, if this is an issue for folks, is look at creating a queue condition in addition to removing them, to do things like restricting a food truck past 10 p.m. for being open.
Right, because I guess my concern with that would be, it may be fine with this first one that comes in, but the intent is that it not be past 5 or 6, but the next one, might want to stay up until 2 a.m. So if we could have something like that that would protect the noise.
I would
level.
agree with that, actually, because I don't want that either.
Yeah, okay, well, thank you.
I really want the same things y'all do.
Okay.
Did you have a comment, Hope?
I was gonna say the same thing, that we either, Judy, in the lease agreement, or that we as a neighborhood have a new condition that covers hours of service, so that it doesn't automatically pay for whoever comes next.
Yeah, we need to think about when, framework does come in, what they say, because I want to do it right this time. I don't want to have to pay this again.
Judy, you talked about the roses and the evergreen trees, is that right in front of your building?
Yeah, they're in front of the
So it's nothing but
windows.
aesthetic instead of a buffer or anything?
The buffer is on the, you know, where the houses are.
Uh-huh.
I put all those trees up.
Okay.
One of them's
That's
dead
done.
and needs cutting.
This is just for aesthetic purposes, they're wanting.
Yeah. And the pear trees look like crap because the power company doesn't care how they trim them. Yes, ma'am.
One thing, and you had brought that up, so I want to bring it up as well. There's a concern with, you know, there's a lot of children that live in those apartments. And during school, they go to get on the bus and they get off at the bus, I think, somewhere around there.
It's right in front on the highway side.
And with more traffic, you know, coming in there and doing business with this food truck, we just need to think about how can we protect really anyone, but the children are small and they're always by themselves. You've seen that.
That's already in the works and that'll be after me, so.
That's what?
That's already in the works to do something about that for the, concern. I mean, you know, I took the mayor by there, you know, I showed him there's no sidewalks, there's no crosswalks. I mean, and they told us they couldn't put a light up because nobody's died over there. I mean, all the reasons were ridiculous, but I've been trying for years. My kids had so many wrecks there when they were driving.
If y'all don't mind that we make that point out, because it is a concern with more traffic coming in. We don't know how much traffic will be visiting that establishment.
No, we don't.
So,
Hopefully it'll be a lot of walk-in, but
where there'll be parking, if there'll be parking on the street, or if there, I know you have some parking places, but just a concern for the foot traffic for the kids.
And this obviously is not specific to this particular project, but I know Tony will talk about it in a minute, but beautification obviously is talking about sidewalks, so we can try and maybe as it relates to that concern, we can take that into consideration explicitly as it relates to the sidewalk project that we're doing, and even maybe how that relates to things like the bus stops,
That'd be great.
so.
anything else?
Yeah, well, I have a question. On here it said that, you know, it talks about the removing of the sign for parking.
For what?
Removing the queue condition about posting the sign for parking during business hours.
Okay, that's
to
what,
allow for
if you,
tipping
when you pass by there,
unauthorized.
you're gonna see pieces of brick. There used to be some really pretty columns.
Right.
And they've got these poles inside of them in case. And we had, in the beginning, the chain that we would lock it up at night. That was changed supposedly in 2007. I was surprised to see it still there. So, because I told them they busted them all up every time they wrecked them. And that's what, even though you would lock it, they would cut the chain with the bolt cutters. And I just got tired of dealing with it. I mean, I know I live there, but
Right.
had I not lived there and lived somewhere in Greystone, I wasn't about to come over there every time just because somebody cut it. So I'm
if-
just being honest.
If this was removed, do we know how that would affect, maybe Councilor Abbott, if you know too? How would that, because I know that there's ordinances as
I
it
can put a
relates
sign
to.
up that says, you know, no parking after so many hours. I can have that made. I don't know how to word it, but I'll put one up. That's what they told me at zoning, to have a sign displayed. I said, okay, I can do
I
that.
thought
Because
when
isn't
we
it
voted
man-
that you would always put that chain up there. I was at the meeting when you talked about
In
it.
2007.
Mhm.
When I was down at City Hall, I told them I wasn't gonna do it, so I didn't know it was still in there, honestly. Nobody told me it didn't get changed.
Isn't there a mandation though for signs in parking lots as it relates to being able to like tow or ticket and stuff like that? So how would we
don't
remove
know
this if
that.
it's already there's already a requirement, is what I just don't
I would
understand.
think we need to go do a little bit of investigating, because blocking it off with a chain is one thing that is,
Right.
to me, a little bit extreme. But if you say no parking after 5:30 or 6 o'clock, or parking only from dawn till dusk, which is a whole lot easier to maintain, then the police can at least say, it's 7:30 and the sun has been down for 30 minutes, get out of here, you're going to jail.
So basically unauthorized cars from so-and-so time.
Right.
Yeah, we can, yeah, I mean, I'll do it right.
So do we need to remove that one? The one that says owner shall post a
What you need to
sign?
remove, does it say I have to chain it? I don't want to chain it.
Oh, it doesn't say here that you
I
need
don't
to change
have my
it.
glasses, what does it say?
It says owner shall post a sign for parking only during business hours and to allow the ticketing of unauthorized vehicles.
Okay, that's what I said I'd do. They told me when I was there doing this that it was the other, and I said, no, I told them in 2007 that I didn't want to block it. So that's what they told me to do. I don't want to remove that, sorry, that's wrong.
Okay, yeah, okay, cool. It sounds like maybe there's just a misunderstanding
Yeah.
with PEP.
No, I told them when I was there paying for it that I would do that.
Okay,
So y'all don't have to do that. So it's just the two things, the roses and the restaurant.
and then is this correct? I don't know if did you see this markup?
Yeah, I did.
Is this one correct, that you're not trying to get rid of all of this stuff about shielding with natural buffering, just
No,
the
those-
line that
Those
says
are major
it
big
has to be
trees.
tall everywhere,
Yeah,
right?
it's just the,
Yeah, okay.
it's right in front of the windows of the building. If you pass by there, you're gonna see rose bushes. They wanted evergreens there. We did, like I said, I did it 94, 95, but they died.
Okay, let's try and let's, if we can, try and keep one mic, so we're not speaking over each other. Does anybody else have any questions? Okay. Is there any motions that somebody would like to make? No. Go ahead, Scott.
I'd like to make a motion to review the two stated, key requests from the ordinance. To remove the restaurant or coffee shop, including the serving of food or beverages to patrons waiting in parked automobiles. Is one of them. And to remove the buffer shall contain tall evergreen plantings.
Okay, the motion's been, it's been motioned and seconded. I did want to just ask, for them to go to vote. I know there was a question about the after 10 PM for food trucks.
Can we put that in there?
Yeah, I was gonna ask if somebody wanted to, if there was a need to amend it.
Well, I don't know what time to say. I mean,
I would say down to dusk.
you talking about the parking, or you talking about working?
Hours of operation.
Parking for one.
What's the noise ordinance, 10 PM?
It's 10 o'clock on the south side.
The noise
Oh,
ordinance, you know, it's prima facie evidence that noise is being made after 10, but the noise ordinance is effective 24 hours a day. Now, if the police don't wanna enforce it, that's not my problem. Well, it is my problem, but that's not part of the discussion.
Sure.
It's effective 24/7, but after 10 o'clock, they're supposed to really get in there and do something.
Thanks. Hope?
I'm reading this, punctuation is a wonderful thing. A restaurant or coffee shop, including the serving of food or beverages, which is what restaurants and coffee shops do, but it then says, to patrons waiting in parked automobiles. So, do you want to be able to prepare food for people who come into your building, but don't have effectively a drive-through, which is what the last part of that sentence says?
as far as all that goes, I asked them at the city, they said they don't have terminology for what I was asking. They only have restaurant. So therefore, a food truck is considered a restaurant on wheels. So they're doing it, not me, because I'm like you. I don't think it's a good place to have, drive up and all that, because I gotta keep the buffers there, so you can't really put a road on the other side of the building, but what you're asking, they just told me I had to do it because the only word they had was restaurant. And that included anything that had prepared food on site.
Okay. And I guess my question is, if you could walk into the building and eat sitting down, or have whatever, you don't want any food preparation. I think it's cleaner to say no food preparation.
No, you're saying allow it. What this is saying is everything except, like, she wants this removed from the exception list. And the exception list is saying, yeah.
That's why I say punctuation is.
So yeah, if you just take that out, then restaurant would be allowed.
So the current motion on the table is to remove that line so that restaurants would be allowed. And I just want to ask, do we just want to leave it there, or was there a need to amend it based on the other concern? Right now I hear no motions to amend, so otherwise, if there is none, we'll go to a vote. Is there a motion to amend?
I'm concerned about the word restaurant. That means a bigger place than a coffee shop. So it should be
I'm not
quite
gonna,
other.
that's my building, I'm never gonna have a restaurant there. The restaurant is the only word that zoning could give me to take the Q conditions off. That's the only word they could.
There's no way to put limitations on there or something?
I don't know.
I mean,
That's what I was there for a long time.
if it's a restaurant, you're gonna need more parking and
Actually,
You're
bar
right.
and everything.
You're right, it's not zone, it's zone, but if we change it, but it's not something that's good for the neighborhood. I can't see a big restaurant
Bev
there.
wants to talk.
I'm sorry.
We're taking.
Well, we ain't everybody, and some people could. I mean,
No.
Okay, Bev is online and Bev has her hand raised, so we'll go to Bev.
Okay, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Bev.
Okay, well, I would like to also amend the motion to have hours of operation not to extend past 8 p.m. at night.
Does the motioner accept that, or? Okay, so then it does not require a vote to accept the amendment. All right. All in favor of this motion, please raise your hand. Okay, and leave it up until, you can only, of course, vote if you live in the neighborhood. Leave it up until I'm finished counting.
Who seconded the motion?
I did.
She did.
Okay, Adam. Right, 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 20, 21. Okay, that's 21 in favor. Okay, sorry, 23 in favor, 2 online. All in opposed, vote or raise your hand to vote no. All right, that is no one voting in opposition, and if you are abstaining, please raise your hand. That's 3. The motion passes 23 to 0 to 3. Thank you, Judy.
Thank you. Thank y'all.
Sorry.
Okay.
I'll get you some.
Going back a bit in the agenda, we now have a representative from the police department here, so you're welcome to come join us. If you could, come speak up here so folks online can hear.
Hello everyone, I'm Officer Fairweather. I work with South Precinct. This is my beat, so I'm here 12 hours of the day. every other day just about. So if you have any questions, I'm here to answer your concerns.
Anybody have any concerns? Counselor?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask if there is any crime going on in our neighborhood that we need to know about, or any perpetrators that we might be on the lookout for.
Okay, so this is, we always have crime going on. Some reported and some unreported. For a while we did, like a couple of weeks ago, we had this guy that was opening people's unlocked doors unsecured. They weren't locked through deadbolts, you know, he's just walking in. We haven't heard anything so far. We put out pictures as far as trying to catch that. We had a description of the person. Unfortunately, we haven't, to my knowledge, I haven't heard anything additional for it, but he was opening unlocked doors. So if everyone could just, you know, have cameras, if you have cameras, if you have anything suspicious activity going on, report it to South Precinct or call 911. But we did have a black male. He was slim figure with dreads in his hair that was opening unlocked doors, unsecured doors, and walking into people's apartments and houses and such. We did have people call in and notify us of the situation, but we haven't heard anything. We suspect that he was homeless. I know that's an additional concern, especially because of the park, George Ward Park. But right now, we have an assigned officer working on our homeless division to work on finding housing, working on, some of them just choose to be homeless, quite honestly, but we're working with them to see if we could find whatever help they need to give them assistance as far as finding a permanent placement or something that's more temporary, I guess, that's more stable, so.
But do you have anything to do with the quest of shooting people again? I mean, they're killing them this time, yeah.
We have nothing, that's, as far as business license and them actually, like the community reporting that to the mayor and seeing if they reach all their business compliance, that's I guess that has nothing to do with, like, as far as we enforcing that. At this point, it's just between the people and reporting that concern to the mayor and seeing if they meet the business compliances. But other than that, like, we've been trying to, because one of our officers, my personal partner, got shot at the quest before too, actually. So, I mean, I'm not a fan of it as well, because there's a lot of underlying, I'm sorry?
Don't go there in the dark, somebody will.
I mean, but they need police presence there as well, so.
Well, Dan's not gonna pay for that, he's cheap, yeah. Oh, sorry. You know him too, you know
It's
him,
a
yeah.
legal requirement that he have police or some kind
He needs a guard, yeah.
Well, at one point, they always had cops there, but that's.
Well, he had one and he got shot in the foot and so.
They have some come and go, but,
Yeah.
it's just the availability, because right now, as y'all know, we do have a shortage. So between working 12-hour shifts and being physically equipped to work this job for 12 hours,
Yeah.
that's extra. We're not required to be over there because it's a private business, so.
There was I was curious, on Channel 13, it was maybe 3 weeks ago, there was something on the evening news at 10 o'clock. It was termed a large police presence in Glen Ira side. Was that, I couldn't tell from the limited television view where it was. I was just wondering if you were aware of.
How long ago was that?
It was within the last month, a couple of 3 weeks ago.
There was a shooting at the baseball field. I'm not sure if you're talking about that.
It was, yeah, it was hard to tell. It looked like, you know, mailboxes on a street, but I couldn't, it wasn't anything I recognized, but I.
I know Hope wants to respond to that. Good.
There was a shooting in Tittysville on Center Street, and the original television broadcast said it was Glen Iris.
Okay.
Oh,
And then it was corrected later to say that it was Center Street in Tittysville.
This was on 13, because I don't watch it.
That was who did the Tittysville Glen Iris mix up. It was VTM.
That explained that.
Okay. Anybody, any other comments? Yes, please.
Question, if we see, or if there is just a firing of a gun, what is the best thing to do? Report it, even though I cannot give you a description of the person. I can tell you what the car looks like. I'll give you an example. I look at the three-way stop on Green Springs Avenue. The other night, heard horns blowing, went out on my sun's porch, looked at it, and I realized I was silhouetted by the light, so I stepped into the shadow and sat down, and then the guy just sat there at the stop sign for a couple of minutes, then he stuck the gun out, and I saw it go off. And I couldn't tell you what color he was, I could not tell you if it was a man or a woman, only that it was, a larger, looked like maybe a suburban type car, one of the larger ones like that. Now, would that need to be reported? I know the police can't get there by the time he drove off.
I do recommend reporting it because your call might not be the only call. And the more the better, as far as like, the more you see, but safely looking, if you observe any suspicious activity to call and report. But the more call, the better, because, not saying it doesn't give us any urgency, but it does give us a little bit more urgency to get there, especially if it's multiple calls on it. Cause then we know that like to send 2 or 3 more units instead of just 1 unit to the location as well. To be in the area, canvassing to see if we see, cause especially if it's late at night and that's the only car in the area, we could kind of, do a probable cause stop and investigate to see if that's the shooting within the city limits as well. So
I just fired it straight up, and when a bullet goes up, it must come down.
exactly, and we don't know if it hit someone as well. So to also render aid if it end up hitting someone's property, house, person, So it is good to report any suspicious activity.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You have a great day.
Thank you.
Okay, the Birmingham Waterworks Board is no longer able to come tonight. They are they're wanting to come and give a presentation instead in either July or August. Part of that is because Michael Johnson, who's been the head of the Waterworks Board, has since resigned. So I think I got the feeling that was within the last couple of days, but I can't state for sure. But he did want me to say 2 things for tonight. One, which is related to the outages that we had earlier in the month. He said an unexpected water main break occurred near Green Springs Avenue. This leak was repaired, however, a second leak occurred in the same service area. These leaks have been repaired. Unfortunately, main breaks occur without notice due to aged infrastructure. And then he also, I think we can wait till next time, but he did give us a map if we wanted. Could you pull up that for 1 second? What I sent you. That shows completed current and future water pipeline replacement projects. It's not really a very good map. I'll post it online. Folks can look at it themselves too. It was one of those to be attached. But he said that when he comes to the meeting, he's planning on printing something out for people to be able to look at. But it's going to pull it up real quick. This is District 3 specific. So, if you go back though, it gives a key at the bottom.
Okay.
So the greens are complete, so that's Glen Iris Park. In progress is red, so that's, this is one that's nearby us. This is technically, I think, 5 points. And not really exactly sure what WIFIA project is, but it seems like that's the majority of where our project is. And so hopefully he can give some more information, either at July or August. Yes, Hope?
There's a lot, if y'all wanna walking or driving around, there's a lot of markings on various streets. Blue is water, green is sewer, yellow is data, I think, red is electric, And most of what I have seen has been either green or blue. Blue is in my front yard across the street, so they're gonna dig up something between our house and Carol's.
Orange is
Well,
AT&T.
AT&T came by and did
Right,
21st Avenue.
Orange is.
and one of the problems has always been in the past that utilities love digging things up, but they don't necessarily repair them properly. That has been much better since Bill was mayor, and there was a whole lot of the same sort of thing, and their people have gone, the permitting people have gone behind and made sure that the repairs have been done properly. There's one on Green Springs at 11th Place, which is probably the main they were talking about. It still is bumpy asphalt, it's not properly paved, which makes me think they're gonna come back and do more work.
Thank you, Hope. We'll have one more comment in the back.
Talking about the utilities, the gas company is going to get started on work on Green Springs Avenue. I received that message Friday, I think.
Okay.
And they said it may be on our properties, but it would be upgrading in the main streets. And they
Great.
said they would try to repair anything they messed up.
Okay, thank you so much. Definitely try and make sure others know about that too. Okay. All right, next, where did our agenda go? Sorry. Okay, we don't have community resource here. South Side Library, the only thing that I have from Miss Pamela Jesse is that they recently, I know, have been in coordination with Counselor Abbott and Dr. Lee and just submitted a list of projects that they need at the South Side Library. And that just includes some stuff around, you know, replacing carpet, additional cameras, you know, replacing floor and wallpaper, etc. And they said if any of the Southside neighborhoods are interested in helping fund any of those projects, that they can try and work on creating an estimate. So that's, do what?
I'm sorry, speaking as a previous building person, they need to figure it out first and then come ask us for money.
Yeah, they're not asking for money right now. That's just what they said. I told them if that was an interest of theirs, that, you know, to send us estimates, and that I would share that with the 3 neighborhood associations. So just thought I would let folks know that.
Well, I was there today and they don't really know what's wrong. They got a lot of pipes and mess, but you know, that's what the librarian told me.
Okay, well, I don't know, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I have 8 specific projects that they said that they need done, which they've already submitted to Counselor Abbott's office. Which they said, thank you, Counselor Abbott, for working with them on that too. That's all I have there. So speaking of Counselor Abbott, I will yield the floor to you.
Did you say I need to stand?
Right here next to Mike's.
Yeah.
Okay, it's good to see everybody here tonight. We had our budget hearing tonight, which is the reason I was late. And, our president was there, but it lasted too long and he had to leave to come start this meeting, so. And mainly what we heard was a whole bunch of people wanting us to come pave their street or fix their sidewalk, or, you know, something that was rather personal and didn't have a whole lot to do with the city's budget. But it was an opportunity for them to talk, and that made them happy. So it was good that we made some people happy tonight. And the budget, just to explain briefly, because we had the network disruption in Birmingham, where our computer systems basically didn't work anymore, they did all the work by hand on paper and with pens and pencils, which a lot of people didn't remember how to do anymore. And And now that the network disruption is over, we have no budget, at least our real budget. What we have done is adopted the 2024 budget all over again so that we will just continue to use it until all the work that was done on paper gets entered into the computers and the city can determine how much money we have so that the budget can actually then be given to the council. So what we did was we passed the 24 budget over again this year on the date that it's required in the Mayor Council Act. And then we'll go back and amend it when the mayor and his crew figure out what our status is, how much money we have, and how much money we have to spend during the next year. I know that sounds like a bunch of gobbledygook, but that's the fact of what we had to do because of this network disruption we had, which really did disrupt the heck out of everything. And because 311 didn't work, lots of, you couldn't go down and get a business license, they had to write themselves a note that you paid your money. And that wasn't, it certainly wasn't satisfactory to very many clients of the city. And it was terrifying for people who had to use computers that no longer worked. So we're happy that that has been resolved, and most of us don't really know how it was resolved, we're just happy it was resolved. So that was it for the budget.
Will Randall be expected to do something until the end of August? I mean, with that baby coming, that's all he thinks about.
Well, I have no idea what he thinks about.
Well, he'll tell you.
So, I can't tell you, but Randall Woodfin is not the one who's doing the work.
Oh,
The
okay.
city employees are doing the work, but he's their boss. So he gets all the credit or all the blame,
Yeah.
depending on whether things go well or they don't go well. So anyway, so the people in the finance department are the ones who are scurrying around the fastest because they're the ones who take the money in and send the money out.
Okay.
So anyway, we're going to have a 2025 budget, but we may not have it until August because it's supposed to be passed by the 30th of June so that our year can start on the 1st of July. But that isn't going to happen. We're just going to continue with the 2024 budget until we pass the new budget after we know how much money we actually have. So, any questions about budget? It's pretty dry, but.
I've got a question. It's my understanding that the things that haven't reconciled, that part of the reason why that has to be done first is related to predicting revenue. Is that correct?
Well, it's not just predicting revenue, it's figuring out what we have at the end of the year to know what we have to build on. And of course, they project the revenue. They don't know for sure if their projections are right.
Right.
But they do all that projecting, but you have to know how much money you have at the end of the year to know how much you might reasonably expect to spend. It's just like most of us don't know how much money we're going to get for the next 12 months, but we have hope that either our boss will continue to send us a check, or Social Security will send us one, or somebody will send us some money. So we have to know what we have on June 30th, and we don't.
So since we won't be able to know what we have on June 30th, and thus won't know what our prediction is, then why would we be passing a budget that has a predicted revenue in it?
Well, all we did was extend the 2024 budget that we're already operating under. It wasn't really, it's required in the Mayor Council Act, which I'm sure you've read over and over. So it's required for us to do that, it's required for him to give us the budget. There was one year when the council didn't pass the city's budget until the end of the fiscal year. And we rocked along with that year's budget. We just kept on spending money the same way we had been, so.
Right.
Two different ways to do it. I would not recommend the council not passing a budget, but we did it.
Did it in 2020 as well for FY 2021.
So anyway, so we passed a budget, it's the same budget we're using right now, but money continues to come in and money continues to go out constantly. But they do try to stop spending as we get towards the end of the year so that we can have a fairly accurate, budget amount that we know we have, so. Anyway, but what's done is done, we have a budget, it's not the budget, it's not the amended budget for next year that we're expecting, but it's a budget. So,
Did you say it was already passed, the FY 2025 budget?
Says you have to.
I know, but she's been
well,
saying that
the mayor gave it,
is
the mayor
passed.
has given it to us, and we have all agreed that that's how we're going to handle the fact that we don't actually have the budget ready to pass on the date required by the mayor council. So I'm 100% sure we will pass the budget, but we haven't passed it yet. We have received it.
Okay.
I misspoke, but I'm sorry about that.
Okay.
But
The fact that we don't know, aren't able to predict,
yeah, well,
and even though we're required to under state law to have a balanced budget, is that not a concern?
well, we always have a balanced budget because we don't overspend. We don't spend beyond what we have. That's the reason there's so many complaints in the city. The finance department has to balance the money going out and the money coming in, and so they may have committed money for a purpose, but they can't spend it yet because there's not enough money that's come in to cover it, so they're always juggling. You know, like people who don't have enough money to live on are always juggling the money. Well, that is what the city does all the time, so.
Okay, thank you.
Part of how it is. But anyway, yes.
We usually got told by the middle of May to stop spending money. Has that gone out?
Well, yeah,
But not, yeah.
Yeah, with the situation, it's been very peculiar this year. Just very peculiar. Just don't click on anything that you don't know who it's from on your computer. It's the best thing I can say. On tomorrow's agenda, and the agendas are getting smaller and smaller because we're getting towards the end of the year. We only have 39 items on the agenda for tomorrow, and it's all pretty dull stuff. Weed abatement, the sale of Eureka School, vehicle purchases. There is it's the $1 million for the Birmingham Board of Education that we allocate to them every year, and this year we allocated it for mental health services because they had so many young people who are having mental health crises, I guess related to school, the pandemic, bad home situations, you name it. So the money that was given to the school board this year was for mental health assistance. And from the report they gave us last week, they really, really need it, plus some extra. So, and then we have, well, you know, just the usual stuff. Insurance payments, playground equipment, employee uniforms. I mean, it's a very dull agenda for tomorrow, which is good. It's good to have a dull one for a change. So any other questions about anything before I sit down? Yes, ma'am?
Going back to an old issue, do you know if the land behind, well, between Vulcan Trail and that runs behind the 1000 and the 1100 block of Green Springs Avenue has been taken off of the for sale list?
I believe it's off the for sale list, but we're still trying to get help from the legal department to dedicate it as city park property. Just because that's what the council voted for a long time ago, and since we could find no documentation from any of the people who participated, because they're all gone except you, you know, nobody could come up with any documentation of anything.
Well, we have been able to get in touch with our lawyer, Dusty Yearout. He's retired, but he said it was an equity kind of a settlement, that he remembered that. And And he said if he has the paperwork, it's in some storage unit somewhere, if we could come up with a date, like, I was thinking 1978, 79, somewhere in there, that this was done, and when the lawsuit, that the community sued the city about that, and he said he could try to look for it, so if anybody has any help, or y'all remember anything.
Yeah, and I'll, that was a long time ago.
What-
And I remember it, I remember it, but it was shortly after we moved into our home in Glen Iris Park, and soon after getting married, you know, you have a lot of distractions, so I think your guesstimate of 78, 79 is correct, but I had an attorney who said he would help me look for it, but I had to provide him information, and I didn't have the information from anyone as to when anything actually happened.
If I can give you Mr. Yearout's phone number, would they maybe talk together, because we don't want this to drop again?
Yeah, well, that couldn't hurt anything. Yeah, if you'll send me or give me before we leave, a phone number, name, email address, whatever you've got.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe we can put the two lawyers together and they can commiserate with one another and dream something up. You know, I've been cleaning out boxes that I've collected for the last 40 years of city stuff, and I was hopeful that I would find it, but I haven't found it yet. Hope?
Valerie, what are the odds that anything from city council minutes would be stored in archives?
Oh, well, they would be stored there, but finding them is always the problem.
Yeah, but librarians dig,
Yeah,
better than a lot of other people.
when you ask for things to be conjured up that are 30 or so years old, they have a real hard time finding them. So, but yeah, even just being a librarian, you know, and knowing about digging, you might be able to help us.
Marvin's dead and Jim's retired, but the rest of the staff is still there. They don't go back to 78 like I do, but
Yeah, well,
Hope I took that as your volunteering.
I will go look. I mean, if I can get a date, I can start digging. I bet I can get some help
think Ian's
doing it.
right, because I wasn't living here, I'd gotten married and left, but I remember coming home and visiting, and my daddy would be talking about it,
Yeah.
so she's real close to the time.
I'm basing it on pre-babies, because I wouldn't be
Yeah.
babies, have babies.
So it would be between 77 and 79.
yeah, we have people in the room who weren't even born yet. And then we have those of us who
Work.
were, around and were, it's a blessing and a curse. You can remember, but you can't remember well enough. So we'll keep working on it. We need to not forget. There's 3 projects that we need to not forget. Bessie Estelle playground, accessible playground, and that property that didn't get, done right. And now I've already forgotten the other one. But it'll come back to you. Usually about 3 o'clock in the morning. Any other requests?
I want to follow up with that real quick and say, from the neighborhood side, finding this information is beneficial for us, for putting pressure. But from the city side, is finding can't the city rededicate this park even if we can't find all this paperwork?
Well,
Would there just be an ordinance that needs to be drafted up?
yeah, but then we have to hire a surveyor and go through all that rigmarole because there's a process for dedicating property. And you have to have a survey and you have to have a legal description of the property. So if we can find the documents, we would have that. And nobody would have to recreate it out of whole cloth, which is, legal descriptions are horrible. So, yeah, we could do it, but it will cost money, and I don't want the neighborhood to have to spend a lot of money unnecessarily paying for a survey and, because with your request, you always have to have an offer of cash to pay for whatever needs to be done, and the legal department has been losing a lot of cases lately, so there's not money going out, not much coming in.
Yeah, or getting the mayor to put that in the budget would be difficult too.
Yeah.
We've got one back here.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say, at what point do we bring up, the repaving of certain streets and gutters that need to be redone in individual neighborhoods?
Hasn't done in years.
well, you can bring it up anytime. You know, there's a
Well,
list
in
of,
terms of the budget, how does that
well,
work?
it's too late for this year's budget. But if you don't ever turn it in, it'll never get paid. That's a fact in the city of Birmingham. Generally speaking, if no one complains about a street needing paving, it will never, ever be paid.
Put it in writing.
311?
So you can turn them in 311 and you have to give them the street name and the intersections between which it needs paving. So you don't want anybody going out there and looking and trying to figure out what you're talking about. Detail is important, but you can do it through 311, you can send it via email to our office and we'll turn it in for you to the administration, but if no one complains, nothing happens. Sometimes if people complain, nothing happens, but if nothing is ever said, then.
I've said something, I've called 311, I've spoken to an individual,
Okay.
but I didn't see any outcome out of it.
Well, maybe send us an email to our office.
Yeah,
And we can emphasize your issues.
And if you email the Glen Iris neighborhood as well, we're happy to send it along.
Yeah, just copy everyone.
Yeah.
That's the easy thing about email. Any other questions?
Thank you, Counselor.
Good, thank you.
I don't see Mary here, is that incorrect? Okay. Brian, do you have anything?
I have a couple of announcements.
Okay.
So hi, Brian Templeton, Director of Planning Design and Construction at UAB.
If we could have, one mic, so everybody can hear Brian.
Our Early Learning Center, which is our new childcare, is opened. I believe it was open the last time I was here, but it had just opened. So it is open now. It is full. I believe there's even a wait list already to get in. We're working on trying to renovate the existing childcare center to accommodate some more children. 13th Street, you may have already noticed it was closed last week. We're doing a demolition of a pedestrian bridge across 13th Street, and there will be construction on both sides of 13th Street from University Boulevard to 10th Avenue, basically for all summer long. The construction on the east side will continue. That's our science and engineering complex. The demolition is the old humanities building. That should be over by the summer. So hopefully 13th will be cleaned up. The road closure, I believe, should be cleaned up in a week or two. That is just to remove the overhead pedestrian bridge. And the last piece is that our new parking deck will open to the public on June 10th, next Monday. Any questions? Anything at UAB?
Which new deck?
Sorry?
Which new deck?
Which new deck? The only new deck we're building right now. It's the first deck we've built in 20 years. It's on 14th Street across from Bartow Lane,
That's what I thought.
between 6th and 7th Avenues.
Where Cooper Greens used to be.
That's correct. Cooper Green's deck used to be there. That deck was demolished. We built a deck for ourselves, and Cooper Green is building a new clinic on the north half of that block.
Anybody have any questions for Brian?
It's a public access, like hourly pay, anybody?
Yes, that's great. It's a combination. It supports the new Cooper Green clinic, so they have a certain amount of, basically the bottom floor is for Cooper Green clinic's patients and some staff. UAB permit holders who are assigned to the deck will be able to use the deck. And then there is also public, open to the public hourly, daily rates for it.
How many levels does it have?
6 levels, I believe it is 1,166 or so spaces.
Thank you so much. All right, do we have a representative from Travelers Aid here? Wanted to present. Hey, how are you? Could come to the front. You can welcome to do a short presentation and introduce yourself.
So I just wanted to take a moment to, I'm Tiffany. I'm with Travelers Aid of Greater Birmingham. We're a nonprofit organization that provides free non-emergency medical transportation to senior citizens and adults with disabilities. And we also provide travelers assistance to distressed travelers coming through the city. And so we have a new program. It's a volunteer program called Compassionate Companions, where volunteers will escort our senior ride clients to their appointments. So they'll pick them up from their homes, escort them to their appointments, sit in on the appointment with them, and then take them back home. And so we're just looking for volunteers. The idea is not only to provide a little more stability, helping people navigate long hallways and staircases and stuff like that, but also to provide a sense of community. It's about helping your neighbor. It's about just letting someone know that they're valued in this community. And so if you guys are interested in volunteering with us, I have some flyers back there where I was sitting. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thank you. And you give us that information too, if you hand it to us, we can try and make sure that we also share that as well.
Yes.
Did anybody have any questions though?
Yeah, whose vehicle do you usually do that?
So you can either use your personal vehicle or we use Uber help.
Uber?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. Okay, and me neither. All right, committee reports. Marlies, would you like to go first?
Sure. Can I talk from here?
Preferably, so you know.
People will hear you better.
Yeah. Sorry, but thank you.
That's it. We don't have a lot to report about the accessible playground at Bessie Estelle. We've had a hard time getting Parks and Rec to follow up. But Rob has, seems like, done some investigative work, and he was able to track down a couple of the people who were on the original committee 10 years ago who were interested in this. So I'm in the process of reaching out to everybody, and we're gonna meet, and they've agreed to help us get Parks and Rec to hopefully get on board with this project to restart the project. So hopefully next month we'll have better information. So we're in the process, we're gonna try to meet with them hopefully in the next couple of weeks.
Thank you. Tony? I think you have two things to present.
We do both of them?
Yeah, you can do both of them at the same time.
I'm Tony Diliberto, one of the folks that put together the meetups, Glen Iris meetups, which was just basically a pickup game for everybody just to hang out at Bessie Estelle. We went so far as to actually have themes for each one of those meetups. We did our first three, between 50 to 70 people, which was really cool. Most all of them had really cool kid activities. So, and we had a band one time, or musical group. And yeah, so anybody make it out? Anybody have a chance to come out and see? So next year, or I'm sorry, in the fall, we'll pick back up in September. Nobody wanted to deal with the summer heat. And so we'll have a September, October, and November. September was supposed to be history oriented. I don't know that that's gonna be the case now. I think they're gonna, because of the heat, I think there may be some water gun type thing, some little squirt battles going on. October is going to be it's actually my month, and working with a local nursery to get us pumpkins. So we will do, I think it's the second Sunday into the month. And we'll actually have pumpkins that will be for sale to anybody within there, in our community, at a special rate that we're gonna negotiate, and they're just gonna let me load my truck up with pumpkins and bring it down. And so you can come, you can just buy a pumpkin and leave, or you can buy a pumpkin and stay and create art, or however you wanna do it, but you'll see, we'll put stuff out there about it. And I cannot remember what November was about, but nonetheless, they will be fun, and it'll be a lot cooler than doing it during the summer. Anybody have any questions about the meetups, or?
What's in November?
I can't remember. I'm sorry, but we'll put it out. It's actually on the Facebook page right now. There's a a save the date thing at some point. But we'll get to posting things once we get a little closer to time.
What I told you is let everybody know. The community resource said that they're gonna work with us, since we don't do a fun day, so that we can reserve the park for free in the future. So shout out to Ms. Melly Martin and Community Resource for willing to work with us on that.
Absolutely.
And they also brought that up in the context of the money that we had since we had approved money to spend for that, that means that we won't need to use that money to spend for that. And they also said if you wanted to use that money for that other stuff, other stuff that we discussed, that if there's a nonprofit that would be willing to kind of like partner to pass through, that would be.
It'd be easier to do, just kind of like what Highlands does.
Yeah, so something that y'all can consider.
Well, cool. And now, if you come next time, you'll get to go to the bathroom if you need to. Otherwise, we were sending everybody to the church or to Giuseppe's. So the other thing that I am working on as part of the beautification committee is an effort to compile a map that will show how bad our sidewalks are in our community. And there's a sheet on your table. It's got a QR code. For those that know how to use your phone, you can just point your camera at this and it should bring up a URL. This is a Google form that asks a few questions. Literally, I think there's it's a sign up to be a sidewalk assessor. So basically, instead of everybody just going and sending me 10,000 emails with pictures of how bad the tree roots are growing through the sidewalk in front of your place, I'm going to basically create assessors. You will go on there, and on here it asks you to tell me the portion of the street that you'd like to send photos. And I will then send you instructions on how to do it. It's easy to do from your phone. There will be another survey that looks just like this. It has a pull down, so you won't have to do much thinking. All you have to do is be able to do the pull down, identify the type of crack or the missing chunk or what have you, and those will be nicely put into the form to where you just pull down, choose it, and then you'll take a picture of the crack, you'll take a picture of the house nearest to it, so that we can then put all that into a document and use that when we go to the city to say, here's how bad our sidewalks are, and here's a map with a bunch of dots on it, and those dots correspond to this legend, and then there's this 15 to 20,000 page document that'll show you every picture and every address, and really just be able to quantify how much we need help with our sidewalks and how bad they are, by not only just, for us to just not be complaining, but actually show them what it looks like. So, if you want to be...
I don't want, you've clearly done a lot of great work, and I don't want to take away from that.
Absolutely.
I just want to point out at the last month's 5 Points South meeting, they had a presentation from AARP, who does something really similar to this, and they do what they call a walkability score. So that may be something you want to talk to them about. Mark Gooch is who was trying to lead that from 5 Points South.
You got those names.
I can get you his contact too, or I can share it with Rob if Rob doesn't have it.
Yeah.
And in the past, I have done one of those walkability scores with Lakeshore Foundation as well. So if you want to, it's a little bit more than just sidewalks, so that may detract from what you're trying to do. But if you wanted to broaden it out, or if this is maybe another effort in the future, there's two pretty good resources. They will train you how to do that walkability assessment.
Okay.
And then you can use that for part of your ammunition with the city too. I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, thank you. That's awesome. Until we do that, if you want to be the person for your street, it's on the survey. When you fill it out, it'll just be 16th Avenue between 10th and 9th or what have you would be what you were kind of claiming as your area. And then once you're assigned, however we end up doing it, that's what you report. So.
I have a question.
Sure.
Do you have a spot in there where you could give us like another area? Because what if there's a bunch of people who live on the same street? Do you have a spot where you would like ask us to do like another street?
So I can imagine that I'm going to get on a popular street where people are pretty active, I'm gonna probably get like 5 to 10 people that ask me if they can do 16th Avenue between here and here. And what I will then respond and say, could you walk one street back, because no one's claimed that one? This right here gives me the information I need to be able to reach out to everybody, as opposed to having to field emails and things like that. It just puts it all in one place. So yeah, definitely, without a doubt. So, all right. Any other questions? Thank you.
All right, and then Charles or Ronald, either of y'all like to present?
Okay, so my name is Ron Garza, and we are working on the Glen Iris neighborhood sign over at Green Springs coming in through the park into the neighborhood. Since the last meeting, we've cleaned and primed and painted the sign. We did have a little bit of worry about how it looked after a couple of paintings, but Tony came by and looked at it this afternoon. He thinks it looks fine, so we're gonna just proceed with the way it is now.
Put it on me.
Well, no, I agree with you. I think it looks fine.
Yeah.
And there was some concern about the letters. You couldn't see the letters now, but they are taped up so that when we did paint, they wouldn't get covered up with the black paint, since they're sort of brass colored, so they stand out from the sign. So everything's ready. The blocks that surround the sign have been readjusted, and they're level now, and they're set. So we also added some dirt in there just to kind of help level things out within the blocks and around the sign. Let's see. So we're pretty much ready to get started on the next part of the upgrade on that, and that is to get some plants put in. And we're thinking of trying to get it done Saturday around 9 o'clock. And we probably only need like 1 or 2 people to volunteer if they want to come out and help. We've got the plants ready, and so we just need to get out there and dig a hole and stick the plants in there.
What are you putting in?
We've got like
You got some, you do.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got some phlox, we have some black-eyed Susans, there's a couple of longer-lasting lilies, which are not native, but the other ones are. Iris, is that it? I was talking about that last time.
Yeah, I think Iris, since we're Glen Iris.
A couple of iris, we have some grass, native grass, and I was gonna throw a couple of flowers in here as well. So majority native, the rest is from the background.
And most of it is drought tolerant, so we don't have to worry about having to get out there and water stuff to keep it alive. So
yeah, we'll try to keep an eye on it throughout the summer and into next year, just to make sure everything is happy, and if it's not, we'll try to replace it.
2 years of watering, and if they're native, they should be all right after that.
Yeah, just want everybody to know we'll try to keep an eye on them.
Not to go way off the road, but does everybody else have those little spider spider lilies? Sorry, we could have been Glen Spider Lilies. Because I get like 15 of those that pop up in my yard every year. It's just in the random places.
Those are actually really expensive if you try and buy those in the trade.
Right,
They're hard to find those. Don't throw those away.
No, I'll let them grow, just right out in the middle of wherever they pop up.
Took mine off of a vacant lot, which is no longer vacant.
Definitely done that before.
okay. Anybody else?
I've definitely done that with plants before. All right, thank you. Thank you so much. All right, moving along. Okay, Teresa, if you could block watch and any other reports related to Joy Street.
Good evening, everyone. So for the neighborhood watch, the signs have been installed, and we have 2 signs that need to be relocated and moved, so we're working on that with the city. So hopefully Tony will get ours Well, I have one and he has one, but if you have any others, no one has come back to me. There were some questions about some of the signs where they were positioned, but people seem to get happy with it after a while. And we've had some positive feedback regarding that. Any questions on Neighborhood Watch? Remember, it's so important, like the officer said, if you see something, say something. Call the police. It's just, we've got to have our voices be heard, and they want to help us, they truly do. The other thing is on Cullum, where Ross was, the owner of that property met with Ross, probably about 6 weeks or so ago maybe, and they mutually agreed that it would be best if Ross moved. And so, they got an agreement, and Ross has moved. They did not have any impact to their lease, so there was no cost for them to relocate. And they've now since moved. I do not know where they've relocated, if they've even found a place, but they are no longer occupying that. That building is for lease, and we have asked the owner to be sure and communicate with us as a neighborhood association, Rob, so that we're aware of what's going on, and he assured us he would. In addition, that entire property where the art building is, you're gonna see some activity there. They're cleaning, they've got some big trailers, whatever those things are, those steel things, and they're already cleaning the inside, and it's pretty bad. So they're cleaning that out, and they're going to start cleaning the outside as well, so they have it up for sale. So I just wanted to let you know that. And again, we've asked that he communicate to us what the plans are, and I think he realizes we're not gonna stay quiet. He's gonna hear from us if he doesn't communicate, so. Yes, Tom, yes, Tommy.
Is it the whole property that's for sale,
The whole-
or just the art property?
I understand it's the whole property.
So both buildings?
Both would be sold together. If I find out something different, I'll let you know, but I believe that to be the case, because it's 1.2 million. I think that's for the whole thing, because before, there's an ambulance, I'll say prayer. He's ready to get out of that, so.
But they've been working for several days at the art building. I can see it from the front window, so.
Oh, that's right, okay.
I was just trying to see, what was going on over there, and then I realized that they were putting stuff into those
Dumpsters, yes, yeah. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Do you know the status of the alternative school that was looking at the property?
I do not. Josh was going to get with her and see, but I do know that her deadline has passed of the agreement that she signed with the owner. So, and I don't know that she got her funding, so I'm not feeling real good about that situation, at least from what I've heard right now.
Yep, thank you so much. Okay, announcements. Recycling is this week, June 5th, and then we have another one, June 19th. Trash and brush is going to be June 29th. And I also have an announcement I wanted to make from Birmingham Department of Transit. They said that 11th Place South is up next on their batch to install cushions, the speed cushions. So they don't have an exact date that they were able to give, but since it's the next batch, that will be soon.
Is brush the 28th or the 29th?
It says the 28th, baby.
Yeah, 28th.
You said 29.
Did I? I
That's fine.
apologize.
Just clarify.
Yep,
There's no big deal.
sorry, I have the
Well, it is,
28th.
but,
I have that, I apologize for misspeaking. And I know a couple folks just wanted to ask, is there any issues, does anybody have any issues as it relates to our next meeting date? It's currently the 1st. Is that a problem to anybody as it relates to its proximity to July 4th? No? Okay. So then our next meeting will be July 1st. Hybrid is normal, so here in Zoom. Does anybody else have any other announcements they would like to make? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn? Okay, all in favor? All opposed? Staying? Y'all have a great night.